Hello there, Bruffy1322 here, and if you haven't seen my previous videos showing the fastest cars in each class, I would suggest you go watch those first. They will be linked in the description, so go have a look at those first. This will serve as an update to those videos where I'll test some cars that I didn't have available to me and some new DLC cars as well. I'll be doing it exactly the same way by testing them around cutting corners multiple times and getting lap times for them and seeing where they fit into the normal lists. So first up is the Rat Loader. The Rat Loader wasn't available to me when I first did the Muscle Cars video, but really it didn't matter that it wasn't available to me. It got a 1 minute 19.1 compared to the best, which was the Ruiner, which was got a 1 minute 5.2, and the Rat Loader is the slowest muscle car that there is. The Voodoo is slower, is quicker, the Picador is quicker, you know, this is easily the slowest. And just so you know that I have updated a lot of the videos in the descriptions with some other slower cars as well, so definitely go check those out if you want to see all of the cars. I've basically tested every single car that there is now. So yeah, there's the Rat Loader, and the next car is a DLC car, which is the Roosevelt. Now I mentioned this in a previous video, but the Roosevelt isn't very quick. It's certainly not going to beat the Z-Type in the Sports Classics class. It only got a 1 minute 10.669 and the Z-Type got a 1 minute 3.4, so it's way down on pace in that regard. It is however quicker than the other Sports Classic cars like the Peyote and the Tornado, but yeah, it's not going to be breaking any records compared to the others. Now the next is also in the Sports Classics class, and it's one that was available, but I just didn't have the money to afford it, and that is the Stinger GT. Now people were, curious about the Stinger GT, and it's something that I did test reasonably soon after the video went up, but I've never actually shown it in a video. So the Stinger GT managed to get a 1 minute 6.1, which is still 2.5 seconds slower than the Z-Type, but it does put it into third place in the Sports Classics class. So the Stinger GT is now the third best Sports Classic car. So that's pretty much all the loose ends tied up, and now we're on to the cars that everyone really wants to see, and that's the 3 DLC cars from the business pack, because these are all, well, sports cars and a supercar. So yeah, we'll get straight onto those now, and the first up is the Alpha. Now the Alpha was probably never expected to break any records or challenge for the top spots, but it's surprisingly quick. It actually managed a 1 minute 2.335. Obviously compared to the Elegy that's not very good, but it actually means it's about the same speed as a Corvette, not much slower than a Carbonizer as well. It's very good with traction, and it's very well balanced as well, and it's not as heavy as you might think, so it is a quick car, and it's quite a lot quicker than a lot of the other sports cars. It's certainly in the top half in terms of the sports cars. I do wish it was in the coupes class, because then it would be very close to the Exemplar and they could have a good battle in there, but nevertheless it's still a very quick sports car. So onto the Jester now, and can this all-wheel drive beauty beat the Elegy for the top spot? Unfortunately not. The Jester is a very nice car. As I said, all-wheel drive, very well balanced, it's got good speed, it's good in every way really. It just lacks that little bit of traction that is needed to beat the Elegy. It just doesn't have it at the very top end of the traction capabilities. It just doesn't have it, and that's what means it ends up as our second place sports car, and it's kind of on the same level as the 9F, the Carbonizer, the Serrano, the Comet, the Fauza. It will compete with all of those, but it's not going to beat the top spot. So what about the Turismo R? Well, it's the same story really. It goes into second place, and it's 7/10 off the Entity. Basically, again, it's very good in a lot of areas. This is rear wheel drive, this car, but it lacks that little bit of traction, and the fact that it is rear wheel drive does hinder it a bit compared to the Entity. Both the Jester and the Turismo do lose a bit of time when they're fully modded as well. That's pretty much because of their traction, but I will talk a lot more about that in the discussion video, which I'll be putting up in a couple of days. I'll put the link in the description. If you want to check that out, go do it now. If it isn't up yet, it will be up soon, so subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, I'll explain a lot more about what these cars are like. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. We've had 2 very solid cars there at the end, not enough to beat the respective top cars in the classes, but 2 very solid cars nevertheless. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed or if it helped you out at all. Be sure to leave a comment on what you think of the new cars down below, and I'll talk a lot more about them in the discussion video. So thanks a lot for watching everyone, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.